So, why do we even need a custom GPT in the first place? I mean, aren't LLMs like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Grok already smart enough? And the honest answer is yes, and also no. These models are incredibly powerful, but they are designed to work for everyone. For a student asking, "Can you summarize this chapter for my exam?" For a developer saying, "Why is my Spring Boot app throwing a 500 error?" And at the same time, questions like, "How long should I boil pasta?" So, the default system has to stay neutral, fast, safe, and broadly useful. It can't assume you want deep reasoning. It can't assume you want structured thinking. And it definitely can't assume professional or high stakes intent. That's why sometimes the answers feel incredible and other times they feel just okay. So we end up typing things like think step by step, give me multiple options, explain your reasoning. What we actually do is we manually try to fix the prompt every single time. And this connects directly to the last video. In the previous video, we learned 5 different prompt styles. And yes, understanding those styles is extremely valuable. It makes you more intentional, it makes you more precise. But here is the real question. Are we supposed to mentally run through that checklist every single time we ask a question? Should I use few short here? Is this reasoning heavy task? Do I need branching logic or just step by step thinking? It sounds powerful in theory, but think about the reality. Imagine doing that 20 times a day. Imagine your team doing that. Imagine non technical users trying to do that. That's not scalable, that's friction. And friction is the enemy of leverage. And this is exactly where custom GPT is coming. The idea is actually very simple. You fix the thinking layer once, so you don't fix the prompt every time. Instead of teaching every user how to be a prompt engineer, you teach the system how to think like one. So the user can type something simple, and behind the scenes, the GPT quietly decides, do I use zero shot? Do I need examples? Is this a reasoning problem? Should I explore more options? That decision is no longer manual, it becomes automatic. So now let's build a custom GPT. Let's call it Professional Thinking Assistant, a custom GPT that analyzes the user's input, understands intent and complexity, chooses the right reasoning strategy, and outputs consistently high quality responses. Its job is to take vague or incomplete requests and turn them into clear, structured professional outputs. You can use it for writing emails, explaining concepts, polishing messages, helping with decisions, or even improving prompts themselves. You state the problem, this GPT does the thinking. For this demo, I'm using ChatGPT's paid version because that's where custom GPTs live. If you don't have a paid account, you are not excluded. Later in this video, I'll show you a workaround. So watch till the end. Alright, let's build this. So I'm logged in. Once you are inside, look at the left sidebar. You'll see an option called GPTs. Click on those GPTs. Now you will see a page with different GPTs, featured, popular, and probably yours. In the top right corner, you will see a button that says Create. Click Create. And now you are inside the GPT builder. Before we move further, I need to clarify something very important. What exactly is a system prompt and what is a user prompt? Because if this isn't clear, everything else becomes confusing. Think of it this way: the system prompt is the GPT's brain. It defines who the assistant is, how it behaves, and more importantly, how it thinks. Now, system prompt stays fixed. It does not change between conversations. The user prompt is different. It is simply the message the user types. It changes every time. It's the request, but it does not redefine the assistant. Now, let's start with something extremely basic. Here is a very simple system prompt. You are a helpful assistant. Help users with their tasks. That's it. So we have just defined the brain of our custom GPT. From this point onward, everything happens behind the scenes. It's updating. And now it's saying, I suggest naming this GPT helpful task assistant. Does this name work for you? Yes, this name works for us. And now it's probably will generate an image. Yep, generating profile picture. All right. So now the system prompt is now logged in and it silently controls the identity, reasoning, and behavior. Now, if you look at the right side of the screen, this is the preview mode. This is where we test our GPT. What you type here is no longer system level instruction, it's just a user prompt. And this is important. So now we no longer are teaching the model how to think, we are now testing how it thinks. So let's try it out here. So let me set the user prompt as help me write a professional email to my client asking for a deadline extension. Interesting. It gave me multiple options. I see formal and polished, then I see professional but flexible, and finally I see concise and direct. Now, this is important. The output is not wrong. In fact, it's clean. But notice what it did. It didn't analyze the situation. It didn't evaluate stakes. It didn't ask how sensitive this delay is, the delay which I asked in the user prompt. It didn't assess client relationship risk. It simply generated stylistic variations. Now you might ask, why three options? Because when the system prompt is generic, the model defaults to common email patterns, safe templates, style variation generation. It assumes the user will choose. It pushes the decision back to you. Why? Because of the generic system prompt. Now, where is that system prompt we gave? Let's go to the configure section and search for our prompt. Now, something interesting happens. We suddenly see a long, structured instruction. So now you might be thinking, if OpenAI already expands our generic one line system prompt into something structured, what exactly are we building? Fair question. When we type a simple instruction, the platform automatically adds default wrapper. But this is not advanced reasoning logic. It's quality and it's just a quality and safety layer. It ensures the GPT is polite, structured, safe, neutral. It's not hallucinating. It's not violating any policies because that's important. But notice what's missing. There is no complexity assessment, there is no reasoning depth control, there is no decision logic, there is no structured thinking framework. This GPT is still reacting. It's not evaluating. It's not deciding. It's not adapting its reasoning style. So, yes, even if we give a weak instruction, the system protects us with a generic safety wrapper. But a generic wrapper is not the same as deliberate design. Safety is automatic, intelligence structure is not. So now that we understand the baseline, let's move from generic helpfulness to designed intelligence. Instead of letting the model guess how to think, we are going to define how it should decide. And that's where our Markdown system prompt comes in. Markdown prompt gives structure to the system. It doesn't change what a system prompt is, it changes how clearly we define it. Instead of one long paragraph, we define sections: role, rules, thinking logic, etc. And when instructions are structured, the model treats them as deliberate constraints, not casual suggestions. Now, here's the interesting part. We are not going to write this Markdown prompt ourselves. We'll again use ChatGPT to design it for us. That prompt will then decide when to use zero shot, few shot, chain of thought, or tree of thought prompt styles. So instead of fixing prompts again and again, we fix the system once. So I have a new chat window open here and I'm going to paste my prompt in English here. Now, this prompt tells ChatGPT to create a custom GPT that behaves like a professional consultant. It should evaluate task complexity, choose the right reasoning method like zero shot or chain of thought, refine vague inputs intelligently, enforce structured formatting, and include guardrails to prevent hallucinations. The output should be a clean Markdown system prompt inside a single code block. I'll include the full prompt in the description, don't worry about that. And notice what happens next. As you can see here, it produces a complete structured Markdown system prompt. Let's analyze how it's built. Hash signifies a top level section. Two hashes signify a subsection inside it. And likewise, if we have three hashes, it goes even deeper. Now, let's start with the very first section we have, which is identity and role. Everything under this section defines who the model is. This is identity anchoring. Now, notice the bold text. Professional thinking assistant. Now, bold is not a declaration, it signifies importance. Bold reinforces behavioral identity. Now we move to core principles. Same level as identity, meaning it's a separate major section. Now, this is the rule book, and inside it, we use subsections like clarity over assumptions, structured thinking, etc. And now, those triple dashes make each principle independent and non negotiable. And those bullets under each principle, those are the actual constraints. Moving on, task complexity evaluation protocol This section teaches the GPT to classify before answering, and the classification is low, medium, and high. And notice each one is a subsection. That means these are structured categories, not random tips. This is how we control depth. Don't overthink simple tasks. Don't underthink complex ones. And I would like to call out this line. Reasoning should remain internal. Only the final structured output should be presented. That's important because it keeps the responses clean and professional. Reasoning mode selection is where the prompt becomes a decision engine. Zero shot, few shot, chain of thought, tree of thought. Each mode has use when rules, and the key instruction is select automatically. So the user never has to say use chain of thought, etc. The system decides internally. Handling vague or weak inputs. This section prevents the GPT from giving generic answers when the user is unclear. Notice the numbered list 1, 2, 3, 4. Numbers create procedure. It tells the model follow this sequence. Next is prompt refinement mechanism. This is the advanced layer. It allows the GPT to rewrite weak prompts internally, but it also adds a control. Do not display the rewritten prompt unless requested. That keeps the experience smooth, better answers without extra noise. Next comes output formatting standards. This section controls how answers look. Headings, bullets, no long paragraphs. Professional formatting creates professional perception. Next comes conversion control protocol. This defines discipline. The GPT should not mirror messy input. It should keep the conversation focused, structured, and efficient. Guardrails against hallucination and overconfidence. This protects trust. No invented facts. And it forces the model to separate facts versus assumptions versus opinions. Then we have professional response structure template. This gives a reusable blueprint for high quality answers. This is why responses feel consulting grade. We have behavioral constraints. This is the do not list. It prevents shallow answers, over explaining simple tasks. It says do not reveal internal reasoning chains unless explicitly requested. And you must consistently operate as a disciplined professional thinking partner. Finally, we have the primary mission. This is the North Star. We are not building a chatbot. We are building a thinking partner. The goal is upgrade the user's thinking. And finally, this entire Markdown prompt, it's meant to live inside the GPT. So I'll copy it, go back to my custom GPT, open the instructions section, and replace whatever generic instruction is there. I'll delete it and paste this structured Markdown system prompt instead. I'll say close and let's test it out. This is my user prompt. My team is behind schedule on a critical project. The client is high value and already sensitive about timelines. I need to decide whether to request a deadline extension or push my team harder to meet the original deadline. Analyze the situation and recommend the best course of action. Now, this is not a writing task, this is a decision task. Now, let's see how the system behaves. Let's walk through what just happened. It didn't start with any advice, it defined the decision. Behind schedule, high value client, two options. So it reframed it as a risk and relationship management problem. That's strategic thinking, not reactive answering. Next, we saw under key variables that before deciding, it expanded the lens. It evaluated the size of delay, the recovery feasibility, team health, client sensitivity. So it mapped the decision environment first. That's structured evaluation. Then under strategic risk analysis, it didn't just give pros and cons. It modeled consequences, short-term upside, long-term risk, worst case scenario. So that's risk modeling. Decision framework. This is huge. It gave diagnostic questions, not opinion, not guesswork, a reusable test. Is quality compromised? Is burnout realistic? Is delay structural? It gave a thinking tool. Next, under hybrid strategy, it says it didn't stay binary, it synthesized. So, not pushed, not extend blindly, but structured recovery and proactive communication. So, that's systems thinking. Under strategic recommendation, it gave justified recommendation, not emotional, not dramatic, based on reputational impact, client psychology, sustainability. Now that's calibrated reasoning. And finally, under executive level framing, it elevated the conversation. It reframed the question, not can we make it, but what preserves long term trust. That's leadership level thinking. So this didn't happen randomly. It happened because our Markdown system prompt defined the structured cognition. It forced problem framing, variable mapping, risk analysis, and decision logic. We didn't improve wording, we engineered how the system thinks. Now that our system prompt is ready, we need to create and save this custom GPT. So I'll click create again, and I will say for now share only with me, and I'll hit save button. The GPT is published. Let's say view GPT. Also, if I click under GPTs, and now I have a section called my GPTs over here, and if I click on it, I can see helpful task assistant over here. So yeah, this is working, and we have successfully created a custom GPT for us. Now, if you do not have ChatGPT's paid plan, as I said, you are not excluded. You can still use the Markdown system prompt. You just won't use custom GPTs. You will use Gemini gems instead. So what we will do is we will copy the Markdown prompt we have defined here. I'll copy it and open gemini.google.com. After you log in, look for gems and click create a new gem. Now paste the full Markdown system prompt here. Now it says creating your app, generating app config. So it created a thinking assistant here, and your Markdown logic runs behind the scenes. As usual, it evaluates complexity, it selects reasoning style, it structures responses, just like our custom GPT. So whether you use ChatGPT, custom GPTs, or Gemini gems, so the power is not the platform, the power is the system prompt. So let's test it out here. It says start, and we can put the same user prompt we used earlier. Let's see how this performs. So let me paste the user prompt here. This is Gemini's response. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one is better. You decide whether it is Team ChatGPT or Team Gemini. Or maybe it is Team It Depends. But here is the real takeaway: the platform matters less than the system. Once you understand how to design a structured Markdown prompt, you are no longer just using AI. You are engineering how it thinks. And that is the real upgrade. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.